Street project. So do we have,
Motion to open the hearing.
motion to open the hearing? Yes. For 735, 737 Columbia Street, a site plan application from Kulaba, which is changing Ventures LLC to convert an existing auto service center into a bar, restaurant, and brewery with an event space. Do I have a motion to open the hearing? Board.
Move.
Thank you, Laura. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Clark. Okay. Who's presenting?
Hi, I'm Christina.
Hi, Christina.
Hi.
So go ahead.
Hi.
Go ahead, Chris.
Hi, I'm going to turn off my video if that's okay, because it seems like my internet signal is struggling to keep up at the moment. Would you like me to share screen and give an overview of the project?
Yes, please.
Great. All right, can you all see my screen?
Kind of.
That looks like you. Yeah, there we are.
Okay.
So we put together some renderings of the project to share with you. So this is a bird's eye view of the renovated building. And you can see the parking lot in the front is to remain. We've added handicap parking near the front and some landscaping and lighting in the existing planting beds. There's one planting bed which we're modifying, which is probably better viewed in the plan drawings, but you can see a piece of it here down in the bottom of the screen. But the rest of the improvements to the parking lot, besides repairing the asphalt and water and sewer lines, are the landscaping and lighting that you see here in this rendering. We're proposing the front entrance to the building would be these doors here. This is a handicap ramp up to the entrance. There's existing overhead doors along the front here that we previously stated that we were either going to repair or replace. It's looking like we're leaning towards replacing them with new metal and glass doors along that side. There's seating along the front, landscaping and planters along the front. And then I'll take you through. This is a rendering of the rear of the building. This piece here is going to be used as the kitchen and the office. There's outside dining with like a semi-covered trellis area in between these two wings of the building, and then the wing on the right side is part of the the dining and bar area. This is a rendering, again, a close up of front, so you can see the front doors and the new proposed windows, the lighting across the front of the building. The bicycle rack to the side, and the fencing which goes around the property, around the rear of the property. Again, this is the view from the street. And we're back to the overall. Did I ask if there are any questions at this stage before I go into the drawings?
Board, any questions?
So there seems to be now 8 parking spaces, one of them being the handicap. Still 7.
No, it's still 7. It hasn't changed. This is the This will give you more detail on the parking right here. So we have, it's the loading zone. Maybe that's what looked like the 8 space. So this space here that's hatched is the loading zone for the accessible parking spot. And then this is 4 parking spots on this side and 3 on the other side. So this overall site plan, you can see that, the parking area in the front. This is the planter area that will be reconstructed near the street. This is where the signage will be located near the street. The existing planter area that will be re-landscaped along the side. This is there's 2 entrances into the property currently, which will remain. We've got the main entrance here for the guest parking, and then we've got this second curb cut here for the side driveway, which will be used for the loading zone for the brewery. We've got the main building, which will be the bar, restaurant and banquet spaces. We've got the brewery building in the back. This is the outdoor patio space. Any questions about the site plan?
A quick question. Do you expect occupancy outside in that space you just mentioned, your outside courtyard space?
Yes,
Like being used for your clients, customers?
yes.
Are you referring to that space where the little hand is now, Clark? Or are you talking about the
Outdoor patio space where the new trees are, new sewer line, et cetera, between the brewery, that triangular-ish space?
Triangular space here. Yeah, this is sort of overview space, overflow space in the back. So there would be trees back here. I mean, this would be accessible to patrons of the bar tasting room. What you see here is these 3 little rectangles are planters sort of dividing the patron space from the back of house space where the brewery would be functioning. This is the loading zone right in here. So there's an overhead door, which you could see in the rendering, which is located right back on this side. That's where the trucks would back up to. And then on this side, there would be windows so that people in the garden could view in and sort of see the activities of the brewery.
And will there be tables and chairs in this triangular area where there's trees, where you have the trees?
What we've currently proposed is tables and chairs in this space under here, but I think that this would be sort of an area for expansion, but the primary space is within the building. So maybe this backyard could be used, for another gathering or a small party or COVID dining, if that's what we're still working with when this opens.
Christina,
Yes.
it's Victoria Polidoro speaking. Are you changing the stormwater drainage patterns at all? I saw that it's currently paved, right? And now you're adding stone.
We're not adding any other permeable materials. We're proposing, so let me go back to the existing. This is all paved with asphalt in this area right now. We're proposing to remove that and replace it with some kind of crushed stone. So again, that's that's 2 impermeable materials as far as stormwater design goes, but we're not modifying, the roof lines or, adding additional, anything that would increase the stormwater demand.
And what about the front of the property where the parking is?
Yeah, that's all right now. That's all existing asphalt. So I'll pan over to this is the existing.
Are you just adding striping? You're not redoing the driveway?
we're adding striping, so correct. And we're redoing, so you can see the shape of this front garden now does not allow for this fourth parking space. So we're looking to replace that and reshape it so that we can get 4 parking spots on this side, including the accessible parking, and 3 on the other side, and kind of maximize that. So that's the only reason for, you know, for modifying that space, but we're not adding any additional asphalt or paving.
So forgive me for this question, but I'm new to Hudson. I know this is a state road. Does the DOT have to review this change in the curb cut?
Well, it's not actually a change of the curb cut. So, I mean, I'll let the board answer to that, but we're only changing this, you know, this one planted area.
But isn't that part of the curb cut?
You see the original again?
Sure.
It looks like you're widening it, maybe?
This space in here is getting a little bit wider, yes.
Okay.
Are
So
there any-
is it the board's practice to generally refer applications on this road to DOT?
Hey, Larry, could you chime in here? Because I don't know, this seems like such a minor
Okay,
change.
let me ask a question first. When, Victoria, when you say curb cut, are you talking about the cut from the sidewalk to the street or just the entrance to the business?
I'm talking about the entryway to the business from the road. So it looks like there's a sidewalk there,
Right
which
here.
is
So
gonna
would
have
that-
to be modified because if you're,
Is this the curb cut right here that you're talking about?
here, let me see if I can,
See, this says sidewalk. So when you say curb cut, are you talking about this area?
I can't see your thing, but this is
Oh,
what
you
I
can't?
was
Oh, I'm
thinking
sorry.
of as the curb cut. Can you see the red?
Yes,
So right now, the curb goes to about here, right? It goes like this and like that. So they're modifying that entrance.
mhm.
So
Bringing the
in-
curb cut over there.
in communities that I work in, this would require approval by the DOT. And it looks like it's also going to require some approval to the sidewalk because once you move this, doesn't the sidewalk have to come up or go down, be depressed so that a car can go over it?
I think the sidewalk is already down in this.
Oh,
It is.
Yeah.
That's a regular driveway
Building.
ready.
Yeah, and this is right. The sidewalk is already down.
isn't the sidewalk down from here to here? Or
Yeah, and it comes down to the street and you come up, because this is a garage. It was a
So right
garage.
here, they're gonna have to change the sidewalk, right?
They may not. Not the sidewalk. I mean, that's up to them.
Well, that's my question. I'm not an engineer, so I just want to make sure that someone's looking at that to make sure that all the improvements that go along with changing the shape of the curve, you know, and the sidewalk and are part of the project.
Right, I would say we'll review that. You know, if that could be a condition.
Christina, we're getting terrible feedback. Do you have your phone and your computer together?
I do not, no, I just
There
have.
you are. Now you sound better. Okay. Go ahead.
I think we'll review that, but my assumption at the moment is that we won't have to modify, the sidewalk, but perhaps that could be, a condition of the approval if the board wanted to go that.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't lose one of your parking spaces.
Well, that's the thing. Exactly. That's what's driving the shape of this, leaving this as it currently is, would reduce one of the parking spaces. So we certainly don't want to do that.
I have a question that doesn't relate to parking or anything else in that line, but since the facility was a service station and a gas station for quite a number of years, have you tested the ground to make sure that there's no remediation necessary?
Yes. Yes, the owners did some extensive research on the site. Or I should say the prospective owners.
Right.
So that they did the appropriate tests, in other words,
Yes.
phase 1 or phase whatever, okay.
Okay, board, any other questions? Before I open it up to the public?
This might be for Victoria, actually, but if in the event that the business does want to use the kind of backyard area for seating, would they have to come back before the planning board to get a new site plan approval, sort of similar to what Back Bar did when they put up their tents?
So I'd want to talk to Craig about it, but I think that if they want to use it for seating, it should be shown on the site plan now, indicated either with tables or a note that says, potential outdoor seating area.
Hi, everybody. This is Emma, one of the potential buyers. I do want to state that we hope to use the outdoor garden area for some seating. We just didn't have a chance to put down any kind of Adirondack chairs or tables out there, but definitely this is a beautiful space that would be used for people to sit and enjoy their drink.
Well, that then is going to change the occupancy, because right now I think your occupancy is 100 and something. This is for the indoor space. I guess as well as the court, I'll call it a courtyard. Your occupancy is what, 100 and something?
It says 114.
Okay, and so
That's not-
now if there's seating in the garden in the back, that increases the occupancy, doesn't it?
Yeah, again, I think it should be shown on the plans.
Laura, it's Emma again. I do want the number of the occupancy. It does include the outdoor seating.
Oh, the 114?
So we're looking at this space. Emma, chime in if you disagree, but we're really looking at this space, I believe, as an overflow space. So this is going to be accessible to the public and have seating in the garden, but we're counting the occupancy as based off of the building and the occupants that dictates.
I have a question. I'm not a beer drinker, and I really never been interested in it. But what I see on television is that they boil it. Is there any smells that's associated with making beer in the city of Hudson that may come out and everybody's smelling it?
Teresa, that's a very good question. It's Emma again. Our brewery is going to be considered a small brewery, and at this scale, there will not be any smells. You are right that beer does get boiled in a kettle, but it's a very quick process, and you would only you're probably familiar with large breweries like Coors,
That's on television, right?
where you smell the beer.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering how would you contain that and make sure, you know, that it's not all over. Okay.
Can we have a look at the rendering again, the sort of bird's eye?
Sure. One second.
Yeah. I mean, this is as much out of curiosity as anything else. But did you explore putting the parking in the rear and having the courtyard be out front? Because, you know, right now it feels like a very suburban layout. And I know there already is parking there now, but, you know, one of the great things, we're going to hear it later, Back Bar is, you know, discussing continuing their operation of having the tables out front. And it creates a really nice feeling for the sidewalk. And, you know, one of the things about the restoration of the building, which I think you guys are doing a really nice job of bringing the building back to a new use. And, you know, I think the facade as it is great, but it seems like, you know, it's not suburbia here, and you're really close to the center of town. And it's in a part of town that I walk through quite a bit. And again, this is more out of curiosity than anything. You know, as a planning board member, I don't really have a role in commenting on your design. But I do wonder whether it might be a much more pleasant project and maybe even a more profitable one if it had a front garden that was, you know, common, public, and people were out. The Mexican restaurant across the street does that, right? There are little picnic tables up front. And it's great when you go by and you see folks out there.
It's a nice idea.
But then we're going to lose parking.
Right. Well, I think if we look at the site plan, you'll see that this is very tight
Yeah.
in here, so that it's, you know, it doesn't, the position of these two buildings doesn't really lend itself to this being, you know, used as parking, because what it seems like, if you're familiar with these buildings, I think, is, you know, the hotel is next, and right now, especially, these two parking lots are kind of blended. So, you know, it almost feels like this entrance here, which is to the hotel parking lot, is to this building, and it sort of blends right into the back of this property. So, but when you look at the boundaries, which is this dashed line, you know, right here, this is the property line, and the position of these two buildings, it really wouldn't work to have parking back here. So instead, what we're proposing, you know, is to beautify the street how we can, and to have, you know, tables and chairs along the front out here to, you know, to bring that, that street life, you know, to the streets as much as possible. And you'll have the glass doors will be open, and, you know, you'll be able to see in to all the activity inside the building.
So Christina, I think one thing that might be important to this board, you mentioned the glass doors being open, and that was going to be my question. I'm assuming you're talking about the roll-up doors?
Yes.
So we typically ask applicants to, as a condition, to close those doors after 10 o'clock p.m. for noise for the neighbors.
Right.
Would be
that wouldn't be an issue, you know. In fact, you know, as we've had preliminary talks about, you know, the hours of operation for this, which you know, and I think that, you know, this is going to be a business that is going to, you know, shut down relatively early in the night. This is not going to be, you know, open till midnight. You know.
Well, we would want to know the hours of operation before we could approve an application. So whenever you do know that, that would be great.
Emma, do you want to chime in with the hours as you've made a decision on exactly what that's going to be.
The hours aren't set in stone, but the intention is most nights to be done by 10 o'clock. I can't imagine us ever being open past midnight. Really, these sort of operations aren't late night bars. These are daytime, evening type sessions. So I can.
So opening at 20.
Yeah.
So we would be opening, let's say around noon and closing around 10 o'clock, let's say on a Friday and a Saturday. And maybe on a Sunday, we would open at noon and close maybe at 8 p.m., something like that.
Okay, well, that sounds great. But
You're not gonna be open
But you're gonna, when you can let us know definitively, in other words, if you could give us your hours rather than maybe something like that. I mean, if you want to state your hours from, what you just said, that would be great. But I think we want to know what the hours are.
Well, is the board concerned with the hours of operation in general or just the hours that these doors are open?
Well, I think both.
Okay.
But it's hard for us to say anything until we know what the hours of operation are. And then of course, these hours include, the back garden and everything else.
Right.
So yeah, if you could let us know what the hours will be.
And I'd also like to know what your plan is for if someone wanted to rent your garden space, for instance, what will your policy be on amplified music?
Well, I think that would, obviously the establishment will follow any noise ordinance that exists in the town code of the city of Hudson. But with this sort of establishment, I think that it would make sense to have the option to have amplified music at times.
Well, will any rentals also adhere to the hours of operation that you're going to give us? So for example, if your hours of operation end at 10 p.m., does that mean that somebody that rents your space will also end at 10 p.m.?
I think we can put that together for you and give you those hours and what the intentions are of the owner to both use it and have events there and what those hours would be. So
That'd be great. Because I don't think any of us will have too much trouble with amplified music ending at 10.
Mhm.
But if you're going, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but if it's going to be a rental situation where amplified music is going longer than what your normal hours of operation are, we would need to know that.
Right. And I think that it's nobody's intention that there would be amplified music past 10 o'clock. I think we can establish that. And I think as the owner,
Say that, would it be reasonable for us to give you hours for, sort of maximum hours for outdoor and maximum hours for indoor? Because it's a little hard to know what the hours are going to be with certainty at this point, but we can certainly say that we'll close down the outdoor space with no amplified music after 10 p.m. That's an easy thing to say, and then we'll close the doors at 10 p.m. And our expectation is we're not going to be open much later than that, but I'm a little hesitant to say we'll never, ever, ever be open past 10 p.m. under any circumstance.
So it sounds like the board wants you to think about your operations. You don't have to answer off the cuff right now, and maybe provide some kind of narrative statement explaining how you're going to be handling the special events, amplified music, the doors, and your hours of operation.
Yeah. Just give it some thought and get back to it.
I want to get back to the site plan too. I know we sort of dropped that, but looking back at, especially on the back bar plan, all the outdoor spaces were presented, and I'm assuming you guys have thought that through, but I do think that the site plan should show your configuration of seating and tables in the outdoor space.
Yes, please do that.
sure.
The reason we ask for that is at the end of the day, it's the code enforcement officer that's going to come and he needs to know exactly what we've approved. And if we have a site plan as it looks at this very moment, and all of a sudden you have tables and chairs back there, he's not going to allow you to have those. So it really is it's to your benefit to include them.
Understood. Thank you.
Can I also ask you that if, in terms of other things to include in the application, if this study has been done that showed no remediation was necessary, could you include that study with the application as well?
Yes.
So Stephen, it's Emma O'Donnell again. We have, before even putting an offer in on the property, we engaged Taconic Engineering to do an environmental study of the property. Because as you know, any kind of former gas stations and auto shops can be wrought with issues. And what we understand is that in 1978, the existing owners removed, according to code, the buried tanks that were on the property.
Okay.
And they were done, to the letter of the law. And since then, there has been nothing else. And then was, further reviews were, environmental reviews were done. But this is what we understand of the property, and we understand that it's clean.
Did they do a phase 1 environmental impact study?
I'm not exactly sure what that is, Laura, but I don't.
The answer to that question is that's in process. It has not been completed yet. But we're certainly part of the process of purchasing the property. So
they are in the process of phase 1. Okay.
Yeah, just for update, there's phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is really a paper study to look at what might be there, and phase 2 would be a more detailed sort of physical study, testing soils, et cetera. And no doubt your phase 1 is going to identify previous uses, including a gas station and an auto body shop or whatever they're doing, their auto repair shop. So it does seem, in my view, legit to make sure that phase 2 is done, so you know what's there and what's not there. Besides underground storage tanks, there's issues, of course, of spillage of oil, et cetera. So just out of abundance of caution, phase 2 study seems appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to look for is whether they had hydraulic lifts in the service bays, because the tanks for those things are often the most difficult to remediate, and they're indoors.
Christina, I have another question when you're ready.
Yep.
Can you explain this 15-foot wide right-of-way? I didn't see the note 5. And can you also confirm that trucks can get in and out of the brewery and that there's adequate room for the dumpster to get emptied?
Yes, the 15-foot right-of-way was, part of, noted on the survey of the property. So that's where that note came from. But yes, this basically this driveway here would be sufficient room for the trucks to basically back in and get the dumpsters from this location.
So is the 15-foot right-of-way in favor of the neighbor? Or
I don't have that information. I'm not sure what the right-of-way serves.
This is Paul. That driveway belongs to this property. The right-of-way is for the neighbor, which is an art gallery, to use that for access to their property.
Oh.
Okay, so it's a right-of-way in favor of the neighbor.
Could you say that again, Paul? I didn't understand what you said.
That driveway where it says 15-foot wide right-of-way is property that belongs to this part of this lot.
And that's
right-of-way in favor of the neighbor, which is approximately where the hand was, where it says paved gravel up here.
right here.
There's an art gallery there, and the right of way is for that property to get access to their property.
Really?
And are you changing that access at all? Are you doing anything to impede it?
No.
We're just fixing up the gate, which is a little old. But no, we will not be impeding their right of way.
Right, but if the truck is backed up, it would help to see where the truck is going to sit, because it could wind up actually impeding their access, right? I mean,
Truck is going to back up all the way back to this brewery building back here. So the trucks, apart from the dumpsters, the trucks that will be primarily coming into this property are going to back all the way up. This is the gate right here where this line with the X's in it. So you can see the right of way stops here to access this property. This hatched area with the sand hatch is what's denoted as the right of way.
What size trucks do you expect?
Good one.
I would say the small box trucks would be primarily.
That's
Can
right.
you provide so normally the engineer would ask this, but I'm going to ask it. Can you provide the template showing that whatever size truck you're expecting can actually maneuver that, backing in and going and that how it fits behind the fence?
Yes.
and what happens if the gate is closed and the driver backs up and then has to get out of the car and go in and find out someone to open the gate, and the gallery needs to get access? Or, sheesh, is the right of way also how a fire truck services the gallery?
Lawrence, this is Emma. This would be a momentary event. It would be no longer than a minute. We would know when we expect deliveries, and there will not be a ton of trucks coming in and out. I just want to clarify that.
And Emma, this is the only way that to access the dumpsters. It has to be on this this road here.
Yes, that's correct.
That's the only way to access. Okay.
But so everybody, this is already the existing pathway.
Right. I know.
For the existing building to deliver tires and equipment and all of that. So this driveway has been in use and currently is in use in this exact use.
And
So
if you see
we're
here,
not changing anything to that.
You want me to share a photo, Christina?
sure, but I was just going to mention before you do, if you look at this existing site plan, you'll see that there's some sort of remnants of a concrete foundation here in the back. So this is currently being used, as Emma stated, for delivery of all kinds of auto parts and tires and all sorts of things. There's a large commercial overhead door on this side of the building. So as you can see, currently this driveway is being used by those trucks. And there's a pinch point here from the corner of the building to this concrete foundation that looks like it's even narrower than 15 feet. And they're maneuvering back, to the door, which is in this area. So here, now when you look at this is much wider, and we're really improving that condition.